former rebel disguised by the killings, smuggling the video out. So it gets back to the question, just who are we helping here, and who are these guys? Are they friends? Are they enemies? Foreign policy analyst Elizabeth Baier, I should say, is tracking all of this quite closely. And Elizabeth, that's pretty brutal stuff, and it does raise the question, what will life be after, even if Assad is toppled? Do these other fallbacks look any better?
Right. I mean, there's kind of no underestimating the atrocities that have been committed on both sides. But I think it's important to really keep in mind that even while there may be some extremists or some kind of foes running around the country, there is a large moderate force that is looking to not only kind of further U.S. interests in the region and to work as an allied partner, but actually could serve as a reliable governing partner if built and given the kind of resources and capacity building it would need to serve as that partner.
We can hope, but and I know you have no problem disclosing this, but you do represent among those opposition groups or these anti-government groups the Syrian Emergency Task Force. Now, tell me a little bit about that and whether they're tied to any of this, or they could be, or they could have associates who are.
Sure. First of all, I don't represent the Syrian Emergency Task Force. I am not one of their employees, nor do I lobby on their behalf. I work with them as an independent contractor, specifically to use my research and my knowledge base to help improve U.S. government contracts.
Do they pay you? Do they pay you in any way?
I get a contract fee through these U.S. government contracts where I'm written into the contract as an independent consultant.
No, I understand, but one could say there is some financial tie there, right?
The Syrian Emergency Task Force is not paying my check, no.
Oh, okay, but the reason why I asked is that you had said that these various rival groups, the good guys, are largely in the south of Syria, and the bad guys, largely al-Qaeda linked, are in the north. Now we're getting separate intelligence that points to a mixture of both, and that, in other words, we don't know who's who or where they are exactly, and it's gotten to be a big mess. Can you sort it out?
Sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that I've never said that there are no extremists in the south, nor have I said that the extremists are only operating in the north. Yes, there are small elements of various extremist groups, including the al-Qaeda-linked Jabhat al-Nusra, operating in some small cases in the south. What I've tried to emphasize is that the mainstream insurgency movement, including these moderate forces, have been empowered in the south through a train and assist program, largely at the initiative of our allied partners. And to that degree, they've been able to marginalize the extremist groups who are having a minimal impact on the operations
but
in the
how
south,
do you know? I guess
and are able to control the network.
No, I understand that, but how do you know that even if they have a minimalist role or they're in there in some small way, that if we start shipping arms or more to that region, they don't get their grubby little hands on it?
It's because it really comes down to how much we empower the moderate forces. If we give them the capacity to fight back against these extremists,
are we able to delineate that, Elizabeth? Do we know for sure, well, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys, these guys wear these type outfits, or these guys wear that? How do we know?
You know, personally, I would hope that our intelligence agencies have been closely following this. And I know that the CIA has been working on a long vetting process and are finally at the point where they have kind of picked a group or an organization that they feel comfortable working with. That being said, there's also a number of researchers, a number of people that are operating on the ground that could actually provide some insight into that very tough question.
Now, Elizabeth, you know this region in and out far better than do I, so who am I to second guess you? But I will say this, I know enough about prior conflicts that our intelligence proved faulty, and we put our bets on the wrong guys. And I guess as we entertain upping the Syrian ante, going after Assad, and enabling these rebel groups, how do we know they're all hunky-dory? And how do we know we're going to go right from a frying pan into a far worse fire?
You know, I think that part of the biggest problem as we've addressed the Syrian conflict is that we keep referring to examples in the past.
Right.
And we have this idea that we keep using old paradigms for a very new and different situation in Syria.
It's actually, it might be old paradigms, but it's the same drill. It's the same drill. Different guys, different environment, different country, kind of the same old story, though.
I would actually beg to differ. I would say that the situation in Syria is very different than the situation in Iraq, very different than the situation in Afghanistan. And I would hope, not only including myself, but I would hope that there are enough researchers and enough people invested in this issue that have closely tracked and studied it, that they could provide better guidance and better advising.
Okay. Elizabeth, thank you very much for joining us. Elizabeth Obagi, Institute for the Study of War. In the meantime, all this back